Hello, 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 hello. How is everyone? It is Saturday, the 1st of January 2022, and it's week 1 of 52 weeks that is 2022. And the reason why I am speaking to you today is I am starting up once again something that I did a number of years ago called my weekly wrap. And the reason why I'm starting it up is I wanted to have something that I could be accountable to for myself, be disciplined at every single week, just like I have been with writing my gratitude journals, where I write 3 topics every single week, every single day, something that I'm grateful for, something that I appreciate, and or something that I acknowledge, just to show an attitude for the gratitude I have for the things I've done, experienced, and so on. And the reason why I wanted to do this weekly wrap, generally I will record it every Saturday or somewhere on the weekend, just to talk about the mumbling, the stumbling, the fumbling, and the hurdles I've had to jump, climb over, crawl under, walk around, whatever it is for the week that's been, because I think it's really important. And I know it's really important to reflect on things of the recent past so that you can anchor yourself into the present and go, what do I need to do to go forward to make next week better than the week that's been, so that I can ascend in myself to build on and get further ahead in the journey that I want to get to, with the vision that I have of where I want to go, what I ultimately want to be, and when I'm constantly evolving into being, because I am not the same person today that I was 10 years ago, that I was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, definitely 2 years ago, and or 6 months ago, really, right? It's a constant evolution. It's a constant change. You know, the pioneering the journey to me is one that is a constant learning. I am forever the learner. I am forever the inquisitor, the inquisitive mindset, and the observer, right? Whilst also knowing that I am equally the teacher too, right? For me to know thyself, I have to express and communicate and share my knowledge, my making sense capacities and capabilities to not only affect and impact what my outcomes are, but also my outputs. And it's interesting. So today, the 1st of January 2022, we've actually got a cyclone going on right now. I think it's Cyclone Tiffany. Tiffany? I wrote it down somewhere here. Cyclone Tiffany. And it's affecting essentially the whole east coast of Australia, everything from the tip of Queensland all the way down through to the northern rivers of New South Wales. I'm not sure if Sydney's being affected, but it just shows when a storm comes how far it can reach from the top of a state all the way down. I've been out to have a coffee downstairs this morning, and I'm still a bit wet because it is absolutely pouring cats and dogs right now. And it's interesting because I love times like this, right? Everything's dormant, everything's quiet. Around town, the water is overflowing on the gutters. There's a whole lot of chaos going around right now, and there is also a complete sense of serenity. And I love it at these point in times right now, because yes, people have New Year's resolutions and all the rest of it. Now, whether you agree with New Year's resolutions or don't, whether you think they're great to create growth in planting a seed, just like my plant that's back here that I've got that my daughter gave me for Father's Day 2 years ago. It was actually about that tall when she gave it to me, and now it's just going gangbusters. I actually need to repot it. It's getting a little bit root bound, but it's a bit like this plant, right? It's a good metaphor. You've got to plant the seed, and the first being today, and the chaos that we're experiencing right now with the cyclone, the amount of water and everything else. It's all about planting seeds and letting the law of gestation create the cycle to go forward. So in reflection, not just for the last week, being obviously New Year's Eve last night, we went down, saw the fireworks early, the pre-midnight ones, I think it was 9 o'clock that they ran. Luckily we did, because at 9:15 the storm came through and it just went manic, but at least it was dry for the fireworks for the kids, so that was great. Up early, couldn't go to the beach, went to the beach but couldn't go swimming because the seas and the oceans were just out of control chaos. It was a big chocolate soup essentially, but I did sit downstairs on the picnic bench, had a coffee, and sat there and just reflected about what I was going to talk about now with this weekly wrap. I tried to do it downstairs, but the wind was too much and it was just too wet. So come up here, hair's still wet, but getting there. Curls are back. But the thing is I want to do the weekly wrap every single week, whether it be recorded on a Saturday or Sunday. And like I said, it's to discuss my learnings, my intuitions, my takeaways, my sharings, my givings, my education that I've received and also paid forward to others, and just share the whole experience and get it out there, right? Because knowledge that's in here is fantastic, but unless we take action with it, and unless we actually inject it in our own weird way, whatever it is, the thoughts we have in our head. Now, not every thought, obviously, but the thoughts that are consistent, we need to express those. We need to get those out, and we need to get those communicating. And I know for all too long, I've sat quiet, I've sat invisible, and I actually feel comfortable now. I actually feel comfortable now in being able to share certain things with you, with the audience that watches and listens. So whether it affects 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, 100 million people, or just one person, it's of no concern to me. Because for me, the power of affecting one is equally as empowering as affecting 1,000,000 or 100 million or whatever it might be. Now, I'm not doing this for the reason of to gain massive followings and massive all these sorts of things. What I'm doing it for is to gain massive sense-making abilities of me, what's happened for my week that's been, and where I need to go next week, and how to pivot on things and actually go forward further to my vision on stuff. And I've been doing a lot of work over the summer break on exactly that. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. I know who I want to evolve into actually being and embodying that and going forward. The last 3 months of last year was very interesting, very exciting. I had a number of interactions with organizations and individuals where it was interesting. There was a whole lot of talk around, well, we do this, but then when it comes to the action, it didn't actually fuse and didn't actually come together in a binding motion, right? And that was something that raised alarm bells for me. I was like, what is it right now? What are people scared of to actually be saying this, but then over here doing something completely different, and or just touching into it and not actually embracing the whole thing? So for me, I will be doing my weekly wrap every single week for the next 52 weeks as a form of discipline for myself to get better structure into what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and at some points enduring and experience throughout the cycle as well. Because without reflecting on where we came from to where we are right now, it's not easy to get sense of how we've gotten there. And it's really important that we open up, that we communicate and we share. And a lot of the guidance facilitation I do, it's about just having conversations. It's about just sitting down and having conversations. I was going through my YouTube channel the other day, and I deleted a whole bunch of stuff probably 2 years ago. I got rid of it, and I don't know why. It was just one of those fleeting brain moments, and I wish I had have kept them, because I can see how far I've actually come. And there are some clips in there from Denmark, from Iceland, from England, I think from the US still, of where I was 2-3 years ago and where I am now. And it's really interesting, because with the whole lockdown of the planet, where the whole planet just got squashed essentially, and everyone was confined to literally the 4 walls, right? A good portion of the planet was like that. We've all had to go online. We've all had to embrace digital. We've all had to embrace this. And I like that in one aspect, because I was living in the Zoom world prior to COVID, prior to the lockdowns, prior to all that. And I like it now because more of the world is actually embracing this form of interaction. I still, though, very much favor talking face to face with people and being physically in front of people, being physically able to reach out and touch them, right? Because you get the energy, you get the exchange of energy. And energy is a currency, right? You exchange currency, and there are different value chains with it. There are different kinetic energies that fuse and come together. It's like when you meet someone, and here's a very good tip, right? A very good tip. I've learned this in my 30 plus years of international business. The minute you meet someone face to face, get to sit down and have a dialogue with them, whether it be in a boardroom level or at a warehousing level or whatever it is, you get to understand and make sense of where they're at, where they're coming from, what their environment is, what their greater capacity is as an organization or a tribe of individuals, so that when you then read their communication to you via email or video or whatever else it is, you get the energy, you get the sense and the feeling. So when I read emails from colleagues in India or Scandinavia or America, or even just up the road here in Australia, I read those emails like it's being narrated to me by them, because I know know who they are. I know their tone of voice. I know the way they express. So for me, I like to move like I have this energy, right, where I can sit still and be completely calm, right? In my meditations, my daily practices that I do, my groundings, my habits and routines that I have. But then I also have the capacity to be super expressive, right? I've got to move. It comes out. It's like an energy that comes out. And when I get to meet people and share that, it just lightens up the whole thing. It gets the whole thing. And people go, oh, I get it now. It's just the way we communicate. So for the next 51 weeks, because this is week 1 of 52, I'll be doing my weekly wraps. So let's see how it goes. Like I said, a part of the weekly wrap thing is to talk about my mumbles, my stumbles, my fumbles, the hurdles that have been presented, how I get over them, through them, under them, around them, or just leave that track and go to a different track, a different path, a different journey, and go off this way, right? Because the key point to this is, if something isn't working, you can change. You can make decisions. Say yes to everything until you realize it's not right. And then when you realize it's not right, say no. I had something very profound come to me by someone not long ago, and it was that if you were the smartest person in the room, leave. Just quietly leave. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, you haven't got much to learn. You haven't got much to listen to. You will still learn some things, but to actually really grow and to really expand yourself, I'm not saying you have to be the dumbest person in the room, but you most certainly don't need to be the smartest person in the room, because at that point, you're disseminating out all your knowledge, all your sharings, all your experiences, and the monetization of what you get back as far as energies and currencies isn't of equal and or greater capacity. There are moments where it's more than beneficial to do that. But if you're constantly sitting in an area, in a room, in an environment, in a tribe where you are the smartest person in the room, just quietly excuse yourself and leave from that space, because it's important to grow, just like this fella up here, this plant up here, right? It needs to be repotted. It's not completely root bound, but it needs to be repotted. It is the smartest tree or the smartest plant for that pot right now, and it's outgrown its environment. It needs to move to a bigger environment. It needs to move from a pot that's, where am I, this big, right, to a pot that's this big, so that now it can go. So when I first got it, it was about this tall. Now it's literally 3-4x what it was. That is a great metaphor. And I keep it in my office for the very specific reason that as it grows, it needs bigger containers. It needs a bigger space to spread its roots. And that for me is a trial that I'm going to do through this weekly reflection every single week of my weekly wrap. And it's as simple as that. It's just me sharing and caring for the things I've learned, things that have come into my awareness, and things that I've equally shedded and let go of that I need to, that aren't getting me from my current position to where I need to be in me. And that is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for my own discipline. So I'll see you next week. Take care. Until then, be safe if you're in the cyclone affected areas, to which many of us are on the eastern seaboard right now. And for those overseas, enjoy your winter. So take care and see you all next week. Bye.